All right, today we're replacing rear springs on 72 Cutlass. Moving the shock. I'm gonna do one side at a time, and this one's sitting so high. What we're trying to do with it is lower it down about 2 to 3 inches. So we got a set of springs to match in the rear. We're gonna take out our spring spacers up front. This is the start. Give me a second, let's pop these wheels off and we'll keep going. All right, we got our wheels stripped off. I went ahead and undid the shocks on just the bottom side. Basically the rear end should do this, and we should be able to get each one of these springs out pretty simple that way. So bear with me. I got a jack under the pumpkin, keeps a good pivot to it. Jack stands, and we got blocks locking it. It's kind of a driveway job. Normally I do it on a lift, but it is what it is. Bear with me. I'll get these springs popped out. We got our new ones right here, and this should lower it just a little bit. Bear with me. By the way, the bottom is a small side. Actually, this one's set up both sides like that, so equal, because normally they go in that little hole mount right there, hold it in place. A lot of the times he's got a rubber side on the top, kind of keep the stuff quiet, which it looks like it does have. We're gonna find out in a minute. He was being a little stubborn, so you see what I did. Jack up one side, and the other side will correct it by dropping. Give and take system. That spring's a lot looser. Simply should be able to just pop your bar in here, lift it right off. And there's that rubber piece I was telling you about. Just put that back on the new spring when you put it in, if they're not provided with one. Hold on. That's how she rides, right in the hole. Just like that. Just tuck it in there. When you shove it up in there, just make sure it stays. You get a thumbs up, maybe 2. All right, we got our first one in. Fits like a glove. Everything's lined up around that hole, bottom hole. And now I'm jacking this side up so to compensate and drop the other side. Back ones are simple. Front ones, we're gonna play around a little bit. I'll put it that way. We got spring number 2 out. Just dropped her. Got our rubber piece again. After this, we'll be popping this side up. We'll put the jack in the middle, lift the whole unit, make sure everything's lined up, tops and bottoms. Remount our air shocks while the axle is still low. I just popped the drums off just so I could check out the brakes, clean everything while I'm in there. Ain't no sense to not look at it, especially riding on these big wheels. Don't hurt to be right. Get everything back in place. We're gonna go ahead and lift it up a little bit, slap our drums back on, and back's done. We can adjust this by the air shocks. The rest of it, main tension is on your springs. We'll move on to the front. All right, we got before and after. Here's after. Squatted perfect, lined up just right. I think to be on the safe side, we're gonna roll our fender in just a little bit above there. They're not touching, but they're pretty close where I'm uncomfortable. Too expensive of a tire and wheel to scrape up, so let's clean that up. Okay, so this is sitting at the height it will be. Let me back it off. Okay, and what we got to do is get that front dropped a little bit. So we're going to take our spring spacers out and see how we ride right after that. And that'll take some of that camber out too, because this thing's, well, if you look at it, both the front wheels are kind of cocked in on the tops just a little bit. So we take that spacer out, won't be so much bulge on the bottom, no camber. Here we go. All right, as far as getting these front springs out, we're gonna have to break loose the upper ball joint. There's a bar right there, and I think the tie rod end, the lower ball joint, should both be able to stay on. But yeah, here, pop the bolt on the sway bar, the bottom side of it's on the bottom of the control arm, A-arm, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to keep a jack under the bottom side and then break this loose and put pressure on the bottom side so that this thing don't spring out on you and shoot you in the face. But first off, undo the shock. Those 2 bolts in the center of the screen. I believe they're 1/2 inch, but we'll find out in a second. And it's got to be also popped on the top as well, and there'll be 1 bolt right here in the center of the screen. I think it's like a 9/16 or something. We'll find out. All right, bear with me. Look at this thing cranked apart real quick. All right, so here we are again. I'll pop this bolt and pop that one already, and that one just fell out. 1/2 inch. I'll save them. Now the shock's loose. It's got 1 bolt up top. This one's kind of sticking, so bear with me and we'll get it out. I did not sign up for this. You see this? It's raining right now. Where does this come from? God telling me I need a bath or something, and I forgot my bar of soap. Whoa. Anyway, we just got the whole piece popped out for the sway bar. Boom. Boom. There you go. And we got to get this little horseshoe of a spacer out. You'll see. I'm trying not to pull the whole thing apart, but I think that's how it's going down. All right, back at it. We got our torsion bar popped on both sides. All the way across. Everything is loosened up. We're going to do one side at a time. We have to prep this up. Pop these brake lines loose so that they got some action. They can move around. This will be too tight, and it'll stretch them out if you don't loosen them up. All right, we just popped this 1/2 inch bolt out of the frame right there. This is the upper. And then down on the bottom side, we were able to undo the clip so it moves a little bit too. Any space we got, and if we turn the wheels to the left for the driver's side, this will actually give it a little bit more as well. I think we're about ready to go ahead and pop off the castle nut right there in the middle. We'll pull that cotter key out, bring that castle nut down to about maybe 3 or 4 threads grabbing. Pop that ball joint loose. All right, back in here. Just got our cotter key out. Castle nut right here is loose. We got the jack under it, holding it for some support. As soon as this upper A-arm lifts, you got enough pressure. Keep it there though. We did pop our shock out the bottom. Falls right out. 1 nut up top, 2 on the bottom. There'll be right there. So you grab all your bushings, this rubber bushing and metal below, and then a rubber bushing and a metal and a nut up above. Most of the time washer and whatnot too. 2 1/2 inch bolts on the bottom. Hold it upward. All right, we're ready. I just got that nut off. And this one actually, this is a fresh ball joint, so it went real easy. That's loose all the way. We can go ahead and lower the jack a little bit, and then we got everything exposed. All right, we are back at it. I kind of skipped popping the spring out. My bad, fellas. Dropped it down. And be careful. There's a hell of tension on these things. I normally put a bar simply through that hole just to keep this thing from popping out at you. It's a little common trick of the trade, I guess. I don't know. Might not work for everybody. For me, it does. I put a spring compressor right in the middle there and tightened it up. We're going to go ahead and put a little tension on the jack, bring this up some. This is kind of a full stretch. We're not hurting it, but we're full as it'll go. There you go. Let me go ahead and get this up, start hooking stuff back up. All right, back. Missing video sections because I suck. We're out taking dabs and shit. Anyway, we put all this back together. The sway bar linkage all the way on both sides. Rebolted on our brake line mount to the frame. Put our clip back in the bottom brake line. Just pop the springs in. We let the arms all the way down with the shocks out. and it actually worked out pretty good. We did get our little spacers out, and man, these things make those springs super tight, super hard to get in, work with. Had to use a spring compressor, not fun, but we got it all. We're gonna go ahead and get another video in just a second on the stance of this thing now. All right, final result. Sitting a lot more even, way lower in the back and the front. Got a good stance. The wheels ain't cambered in at the tops no more. Looking good.